Over the last few episodes, Vanilla Shores has just been ever expanding island by island. We've got plenty of residential, as you can see, and we also have plenty of industry, and we've also introduced a brand new office island as well to our archipelago. We have plenty of public transport. All of our services are working perfectly in harmony, which means we can start focusing on something brand new. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing today by taking a look at these two new islands and discovering what on earth we can do with them. So stay tuned and you will not be disappointed. Now, welcome back, guys, to Vanilla Shores. And as you can see, we are moving across this island chain really quite quickly now, going from 1, 2, 3 over to 4 and 5 now, which we are hopefully going to be working on today in this episode. Now, as I said in the introduction, we have had ourselves a load of residential spawn in, loads of industry, commercial obviously to complement it all, and also offices. However, there is something we have neglected, and that is resources. Now, when we take a little look at the resources map, you will notice that the remainder of the fertile land is on the mainland, and we have actually utilized the majority of our fertile land on this first island, where we built these beautiful farms at the entrance of our residential island. Taking a little look at forest, well, these two islands have plenty of forest. However, taking a look at the rest of the map, there is no shortage of forest to develop an industry at some point in the future. These two islands we're looking to build on today are completely barren of ore, and really we're only going to be starting to mine ore when we eventually get to the mainland, which leaves oil. And as you can see, relative to the rest of our islands down here, these two islands are completely saturated with oil, perfect for developing an oil industry in. And I think that is exactly what we're going to do in this episode today. In fact, if we take a little look at our resource production tab here, you can see oil is in a massive deficit. Over 60 tons we're having to import right now, which is not ideal for profiteering. And really, I think as we start to develop an oil industry, hopefully, fingers crossed, we will start to see our budget, well, this gap between our profit and expenditure actually divide as well, as our businesses start to utilize our home drilled oil rather than importing it from afar. Well, hold on a sec. Before we get to that, we have literally just had a building collapse, and we've got another one on fire right now. We just take a quick little look at our fire service here. Where on earth are our fire engines? We've got one over here that has literally just about arrived to our instant here. However, they have been too late for this one. Hopefully they're not going to be too late for this building that's burning down now. We've got these people sat outside or stood outside, just chilling as the 3-story house just gets completely destroyed. However, the fire service is here now, and I think they should, yeah, perfect. Have resolved that issue, which is fantastic. Now, before getting distracted anymore, let's start working on this industry. Now, I do want to try to integrate as much as possible the surrounding environment we've got. So all of these dirt tracks and paths, and also our train line here, we're going to try to retain and build a bit of a story behind. Now, talking about train line, well, we've got one here. It doesn't actually lead anywhere, and if you remember in the last episode where we were building our office industry, it actually ends here and leads to what once probably was a bit of an industrial area that has very much been completely neglected in recent time, replaced by our beautiful new office industry here. But we're going to try and integrate this a little bit. Now, if we're going to do that, we're going to have to make sure that we can construct railways. And so we're actually going to go over to our progression tab over here, and we're going to head over to transport, and we're going to unlock trains. This is going to be super exciting because it unlocks a load of things for us that we're going to be using this episode. Firstly, it's obviously going to be the tracks. However, secondly, we're going to start getting some cargo train terminals involved in this production. Now, first things first, we're going to need some kind of depot to reside our trains in. We're going to need some money to actually build this rail yard, and so we're actually going to take out a loan. Hopefully this loan isn't going to completely destroy us, fingers crossed. And we're going to take out a small loan of 300 grand, which should give us a bit of flexibility with what we're wanting to build today. Now, thinking about where we want to put this railway depot, and also I assume it says over here as a requirement we need a rail yard. I presume that means either a depot or a yard, surely, right? We don't actually need one of these massive things. We could just stick with a depot. Fingers crossed, I think that should be fine. But having a little look at our island here, I feel like this little sort of dirt path sprawl heading in this direction actually provides a bit of, I don't know, a bit of a story, a bit of lore as to where our railway could have actually begun. Maybe these paths originally led to the maintenance depots for our trains all those decades and decades ago. And so maybe we get our railway depot here and we stick it somewhere like this. Obviously, we're going to have to buy tiles, so we're going to get these 3 for the time being. Now we can build our beautiful railway depot that now unlocks all of our cargo capabilities, which is exactly what we want. And this is actually a pretty nice building. I mean, it's kind of industrial, pretty old looking as well. I actually really like the look of this. And obviously we need to build a bit of a road around here now. I think an alley will do the job. And now we have to start thinking about the actual cargo terminal. Now it kind of makes sense, I suppose, to have the terminal near to our depot. However, we just simply do not have the space. And although we could have it here, I feel like having it right along a dirt path, considering it's going to have a lot of traffic, probably isn't the best of ideas. And maybe having it alongside our highway here would make a lot more sense. And so we're actually going to get this cargo train terminal. We're going to make sure that the tracks are pointing in the right direction, which is going to be very important, obviously. And we're just going to stick it down here. I think this actually works really quite well. Perhaps we can just have, once again, a simple alley going along here. Maybe with like a turn-off lane coming along here, another turn-off lane here, creating almost a bit of a roundabout system, I guess, before we then add these roads in to complete our cargo rail terminal. I'm also not the biggest fan of these pylons being here right for the time being, so I'm actually going to get rid of them just for now, but I'm sure they will return at some point a little bit later in the episode when we start to reconnect everything up. Now, regarding rail, we're going to do our best to try to keep everything kind of as efficient as possible, I suppose. And so what I think we're going to do along here from our depot here is bring out a bit of a railway track coming along this path here. We're going to connect this one up as well, which is going to be pretty tight, but I think it actually all connects up really nicely, which is fantastic. It's going to kind of trace this dirt path for the time being, doing its best to follow these historical tracks along here. Before actually branching off in this direction, we're actually going to go directly across our little path here. You know what? We're actually going to have a bridge that goes over here before then dropping back down along our waterline here and then eventually connecting up to our cargo terminal here. And I think that will probably work pretty nicely for us. It will probably kind of make sense that we have a connection that goes in this direction down to the mainland as well eventually. So we might as well put that in now as well, because we kind of have a bit of a junction going on now. And obviously if you want to go to town from here, you'd have to go all the way along this path here and then change the side of your train that you're driving, then reverse all the way back along here. So why don't we, whilst we're at it, drag this track all the way down here. We'll kind of line ourselves up with the highway before coming up here. And this line coming from the depot can just connect straight up here. And long story short, we've got ourselves a pretty, I was going to say beautiful. I mean, it's kind of convoluted. It's a little bit confusing, but I kind of like this little spaghetti junction we have along here. And it looks like it will probably work quite nicely. And so now let's actually start focusing on how we're going to make our money, which is going to obviously be through oil. Now, having a little look at how we develop an oil field, well, we've got the oil drilling option right here. And I think we're just going to start putting them down and making the most of as much land as we can in this whole area. We're going to develop a bit of a grid-based system along here, which should then let us maximize as much of this as possible. The grid-based thing is actually working out to be pretty efficient, and I genuinely have no idea how much money, if anything, this oil industry is actually going to produce us. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. I suppose from a moral perspective regarding sort of drilling for oil, considering our energy mix currently is completely reliant on renewables, I suppose from a moral perspective, we don't have to feel too bad about drilling this oil, especially considering, well, this oil doesn't have to be specifically used for burning. It could be used for all sorts of different things. And so my conscience is in check. And this is how it's looking so far. My goodness, it is quite the eyesore, but I think when we start to rack in the cash, we're not going to be complaining too much about it. So we might as well continue. And I do actually think this is looking okay for the time being, you know? Looking over to this other island, we're obviously going to have to develop a bit more industry. However, I have a bit of a different intention on how I'm going to do it. Now, my idea, as I've kind of said before to you guys, is that we traveled along these islands. The pioneers, the people decades, if not centuries ago, started from the mainland on this island and then slowly progressed through. And that is why you get older kinds of things like this abandoned industry here before you then get to our official industrial island here, which is obviously a lot kind of nicer kept. And I feel like regarding our oil drilling, we should probably have a very similar thing going on, where this was like our initial island where the drilling kind of started, which is why you have all these dirt paths and stuff. However, it eventually became very industrialized on this island, which is where we then start to see our gravel roads get upgraded to alleys and become far more organized and ordered. So I see there being a nice long road along here with a roundabout at the end. And then we start to see these roads come down along here, all parallel to one another, before we then add in some oil industry. We'll probably leave it like this. Taking a little look at our lore over here, obviously we had this old abandoned train track that never got completed, and so why don't we actually develop a bit of a train track coming from here, but instead of going along the road like this kind of gravel path suggests, it actually follows the road down along here, but it kind of stops here. It kind of adds to the aesthetic. It almost looks like it's connected to our cargo train terminal, but it doesn't actually go anywhere near kind of this direction over here. I kind of feel like that adds in some really nice lore, and I think the next thing for us to actually do is to start beautifying a few of these areas we have been developing. It actually seems like we've run out of money, so we're going to take out another loan, which should not cause too much trouble for us. We'll just go for a small loan of 100, maybe 50,000 for the time being. I completely forgot how expensive all these bushes and beautification actually cost. And here we go, we have beautified, as you can see, our cargo rail terminal with some beautiful lined trees around the place, lots of bushes as well, and I think it kind of just adds some really nice texture to this area. We did the exact same thing over here at the depot as well, a little bit less, but we still added some trees around the place just to add a bit of diversity and variety around here. However, I did soon realize something that we completely forgot about, which is this path, this road that leads to our depot is not actually connected in any way, shape or form right now, and so we're going to have to fix that. And I think we could probably quite easily do it by simply getting rid of this road here, and maybe if we then are able to drop this underground somehow, we can then just get this road that goes directly under the industry. I have no idea how the drilling's going to happen if we've got a tunnel here, but I guess they're going to have to kind of work around it, and then we'll just bring this road directly up here before very seamlessly merging here, as if it was perfectly planned. And then once again here, we can kind of just bring everything back along here as if nothing had ever changed. And look at that. Slightly inefficient, kind of weird. Maybe there was like a super precious amount of oil here, which meant they couldn't like just build the road along here. I have no idea. It's down to you guys in the comments to build the lore, obviously, and I think that will actually kind of work pretty nicely. Obviously, we've got this area here as well that we could most definitely fill with some oil. Maybe we draw a road here that connects, and that plot looks pretty nice. We should really make the most of this little corner here as well. So how about, once again, we just get a little gravel road along here, then able to slot in just a little bit more industry here to kind of complete the island. And to be fair, guys, we probably could fit in a little bit more oil here, especially considering we've got plenty of the resource. However, I do want to, kind of be space wary, make sure that we do still have plenty of green space around this area, especially considering, well, this is obviously going to be taking up loads and loads of energy. This is obviously going to be promoting quite a polluting industry, so being considerate of our environment is obviously going to be very important here. As always, we could do with some kind of energy source, which is going to come from our sort of main islands over there, which means we're definitely going to need some form of transformer station, which I suppose would actually probably fit quite nicely in this area here. And you know what, guys? Considering I think our wind direction is kind of, it's going along here, we might as well build maybe a few little industrial buildings here and a few more down there as well, just to maximize our space without completely kind of zoning across every last bit of land we have. I think we could most definitely fit a small little transformer station that can connect underground to these cables here, satisfying the energy demands for this entire area, hopefully. Whilst we're here, why don't we stick a few industrial buildings along here? Perhaps right on this entrance here, we get a small little business. Hopefully this actually ends up becoming a petrol station, which would actually make sense for once in this game. And then we'll do the same over here as well, constructing just a little bit of industry. Regarding water, we're obviously going to need some kind of pumping station. We do not have any actual sort of groundwater deposits that we could sort of healthily pump from, so we're going to get this pumping station here. And I think considering this area here is still pretty green and kind of void of pollution, we're going to stick it over here and then connect it up by a very simple little path here, and that should do the job for our water demand in this entire region as well. And obviously it's very important to take a little look and see our current resource production, or deficit I should say, sitting around 60 to 50 tons, and we'll see how that changes when we eventually hit play. I'm really worried as to like how much money we're going to be burning through, but we'll see if things start to stabilize in the long run. They are all actually not that profitable, full stop, basically. They don't have employees, which is strange considering, well, all they need is an uneducated and poorly educated person for each of these industries, but I suppose it is quite a distance away from the rest of these islands, and I guess the rest of these islands probably have their own communities where people live and work very nearby. But all in all, I think we've actually done a really good job with these two islands, guys. We've created a beautifully big oil industry that, as you can see, is on the verge of thriving. We've got the work opportunities. We just have to actually bring the people in now, which we will start to work on over the next few episodes. But I actually really like how these two islands have actually turned out. If you do have ideas as to what you want to name these islands, then make sure you leave it in the comments below. We've obviously got our older island here, the one that the settlers first stumbled upon, with our beautiful big old railway depot filling up a significant portion of this island, and I genuinely really like the look of this depot. I think it is just so beautiful amongst the low-lying islands around here. And then obviously shifting over to our newer, more recently discovered and built upon island, we have got our cargo rail terminal, which has been completely overhauled with lots and lots of beautification, spending thousands upon thousands on trees. But I really like how it's kind of turned out, and obviously our more methodical grid-based constructions around here as well that I really like. And I think these two islands put together actually look pretty nice. I think we've got some really nice lore being built in, and just before I go, I'm going to leave you guys with even more lore. And that's because at the entrance to this island over here, we're going to get some old mill ruins. And we're going to put a few of them around here to heavily imply that back a long time ago, before this was an oil industry, it was an agricultural zone. And maybe that is why we do not have any more fertile land here, because it was completely farmed away. And all that's left to show for it are some old mill ruins scattered along the island. Perhaps over here, we could actually terraform a little bit. Having created a small mound, we can actually now stick ourselves some very old and ancient castle ruins up here, which I think will look really nice up here. And perhaps back in the day, this castle ruled over this island, also managing the waterway along here, and I think that actually looks really nice. And perhaps over along here, we could get a small old mill ruins once again. Maybe opposite our castle here, we get an old cemetery as well. And I think that will do a really nice job in adding a little bit more lore for this whole local surrounding area. Now, as always, guys, thank you so very much for watching and staying tuned all the way to the end of this video. And if you do enjoy content like this and you want to see some more City Skylines 2 content developing Vanilla Shores, then make sure you hit a like and subscribe so you never miss out on a brand new video. Make sure you do hit that like if you did enjoy this video, because it makes a world of difference to the channel and I'll be forever thankful. Thank you so very much once again for watching, guys. And until next time, I will see you all again very soon.